Jungkook couldn't hold back any longer. His clarification about Jimin breaks ARMY's hearts. "I know this isn't the right time, but ARMY needs to know." These simple yet powerful words came from Jungkook's mouth during a military training session with the 5th Division. In the barracks, usually filled with commands and the sound of marching boots, a sudden silence fell. Every member of the platoon was still. Before them stood two of the most beloved figures in the K-pop world, wounded not by physical battle, but by a decision that could no longer be hidden. Is this the end of the companionship that has warmed the hearts of millions of fans? Why did Jungkook, known for protecting the privacy of his fellow BTS members, choose to speak openly? And even more heartbreaking, why did that sentence mention one named Jimin? The feeling started a few weeks ago when devoted BTS fans, known as ARMY, noticed a striking change in Park Jimin. Usually cheerful, energetic, and an emotional anchor in the group's dynamics, he suddenly became quieter, withdrawn, and even absent from several open training sessions. Speculation spread, ranging from simple fatigue to health problems. But nothing was confirmed, until that day. An afternoon training session that should have been normal turned into an unexpected stage for Jungkook to convey something that only the two of them knew. Without a script, without direction, only clad in uniform and sweat, Jungkook stood in the middle of the field and uttered something that instantly tore through the false tranquility. Jimin Hyung will be completing his mandatory military service early next month. Those words weren't just an announcement. It was a kind of delayed prayer. Like a burden kept for too long, finally exploding, not out of desire, but out of necessity. None of his fellow soldiers interrupted. No instructor cut him off. Even Jimin himself only bowed his head, hugged his helmet, and tried to stop his trembling hands. It's no secret that Jimin and Jungkook have a relationship that goes beyond that of coworkers. They grew up together, built dreams together, and stood together on the world stage. For ARMY, their bond wasn't just teamwork, it was a family that looked out for each other. Therefore, Jungkook's statement became a shared wound. Because when two seemingly irreplaceable people are separated by unfair time, the world seems to lose its rhythm. Why did Jimin leave early? Speculation immediately spread rapidly across various platforms. Some sources within the military community mentioned that Jimin underwent a medical re-examination a few weeks ago. The results weren't announced, but the follow-up was clear: reduced training intensity, absence from group physical activities, and now, preparation for the administrative process of discharge. HYBE, as the agency, only issued a brief statement. "We support and respect Jimin's personal decision in fulfilling his duties in accordance with applicable regulations." There was no clarification regarding medical or emotional reasons. However, the fact that Jungkook himself spoke clarifies that this wasn't just a routine administrative procedure. What shook ARMY even more was how Jimin received the statement. Instead of interrupting or explaining, he chose silence. Some fellow soldiers stated that after the training was stopped, Jimin avoided eye contact. He sat alone on the edge of the field, his eyes distant, his face tired. Jungkook approached but didn't speak. He just sat beside him, gazing at the cloudy sky, as if hoping time would stop for a moment. A personnel member testified, Jungkook seemed to be carrying the weight of the world. He knew this was painful for Jimin, but he also knew ARMY needed to know. Shortly after that moment, social media exploded. Jimin's leaving early? Why not together? Is he sick? These questions flooded Twitter and Weverse. Many fans expressed disappointment, sadness, but also support. They knew that if Jungkook spoke, it meant it was important. And if Jimin didn't deny it, it meant it was true. What's most heartbreaking isn't the content of Jungkook's clarification, but its timing. After the announcement, it was revealed that the night before, the two had laughed together. There was no indication that anything would change. A soldier who was in the same barracks stated, Jimin fed Jungkook snacks. They laughed like usual. Nothing seemed strange. Jungkook himself said, "I know this will make many people sad, including me. But it would be more painful if I stayed silent and Jimin had to bear all those questions alone. I just want you to know, this isn't because he gave up. It's because he has to leave early, and it's for his own good." For the entertainment world, this might be considered ordinary. An artist leaves military duty early for certain reasons. But for BTS and ARMY, every change is history. Every moment is part of an emotional narrative intertwined with music, togetherness, and loyalty. Now, what remains is insufficient time. Jungkook will still be serving the remainder of his duty until the end of the year. While Jimin, if Jungkook's information is correct, will be discharged in June. That means, their time together in the military is almost over. And as one fan said, "It's not Jimin's departure that makes me sad, but because they can't go home together." In a past BTS interview, Jimin once said, "Jungkook is like a younger brother I always protect. But now he's the one protecting me." Today, that sentence feels like a prophecy. Because silently, Jungkook has taken over that role. He became the keeper of the story, the teller of the truth, and the silencer of the grief that might have been too heavy for Jimin to convey himself. Jungkook couldn't hold back any longer. His clarification about Jimin wasn't an official statement, nor a planned announcement. But precisely because it was spontaneous, sincere, and heartfelt, it's what shook hearts. Not only armies, but anyone who believes in the meaning of true friendship. And now, under the increasingly gloomy sky of the 5th Division, the two figures walk again, side by side, but with directions that are starting to diverge. Jungkook couldn't hold back any longer. His clarification about Jimin breaks ARMY's hearts. Continuation and critical reflection. After Jungkook's shocking confession that shook the military barracks and quickly spread to all corners of the internet, the wave of emotions from ARMY wasn't just tears. Many also began to wonder, did all this really happen? Or is this just a narrative created to generate sympathy and public attention ahead of BTS's return from their military hiatus? Amid the tension between Jimin's silence and Jungkook's courage in conveying the truth that had been hidden, we as viewers and fans need to ask a fundamental question. Are we witnessing reality, or are we being led to believe a story? Emotions can be created, but facts need to be proven. We know that the digital age opens up space for information to spread in seconds, even before it can be verified. Video clips secretly taken by someone at the military camp, snippets of audio claimed to be Jungkook's confession, and screenshots allegedly from internal HYBE messages, all appeared on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Twitter X, then immediately went viral. However, the question is, who first spread this information? What were their goals? And more importantly, why hasn't there been a single official statement from Jimin to this day? If the situation is truly so touching, clarification or manipulation, Jungkook's statement, "The soldiers need to know the truth about Jimin Hyung," seems to be the gateway to an overwhelming collective emotion. But did it really come out in the middle of military training? Or is it part of the script for a documentary or a certain content project that hasn't been announced yet? Some speculate that this is just part of BTS's comeback strategy, designed to rekindle the emotional bond with ARMY after a long separation. On the other hand, there are also those who believe that this is Jungkook's way of fighting for Jimin when his Hyung is unable to speak for himself due to health reasons. However, once again, we need to ask, if this is truly about Jimin's health condition, why hasn't any official medical data been released? Shouldn't something like this be discussed privately, not in front of dozens of other soldiers? An open conclusion. We conclude this report not with a conclusion, but with questions, which might be the beginning of a deeper discussion. Do you, as a fan, believe this event happened as it is? Or do you feel this is just a narrative maneuver from an industry that has long known how to make a story more impactful than reality itself? Please write your opinion. Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if it concerns your own idol. Because in this age of information overload, Skepticism isn't a form of hatred. Skepticism is a form of love that doesn't want to be blinded. Thank you for reading. Keep thinking critically. Keep asking questions. And most importantly, remain humane.